For the future, climate's getting stranger every day. So it's kind of hard to notice. So we're going to do a dance today. Let's go like this. Let's go. Let's dance.
Okay?
Okay, so everyone got when we get the sign, the thing, we shouldn't get hurt. Everyone okay? Should we do this? A little practice? Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Here we go.
After disaster, we passed the crack. Need to move on, now we're gonna go back. We already danced to each notification. Similar steps back with new information. We must pay attention.
Okay, thank you, DJ. We're going to get started. No, it's the slot just after lunch, so hopefully some more people will be joining us as we get started. So thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Lydia Kumsky and I'm the Partnerships and Community Engagement Advisor with the Anticipation Hub. So we've organised this side event together with our partners, and it's entitled Anticipating and Acting Early, and really putting communities and creativity, as you're going to see very shortly, or you might have already spotted around you, at the heart of our learning and exchange. So the Anticipation Hub is a knowledge exchange and learning platform on anticipatory action, bringing together scientists, practitioners and policymakers to exchange and learn around anticipatory action. And we're really excited to have you all here today to work with us and to exchange your knowledge, experiences, and think about how we can work together to really make sure that communities are being put at the heart of anticipatory action. So we would love to energize you all. We know it's the end of a very long week, and yeah, we've been all exchanging and interacting a lot over the past 5 days. Many of you would have already attended some of our different sessions at the Multi-Hazard Early Warning Conference, and earlier this week, or visited us already at our booth, and it was really amazing to see so many partners already here at GPDRR and engage, and we're really excited to connect with you all. Some of you may have also joined our dance at the Ignite stage, which we had playing there in the background. Did you have fun? Was it nice? Yes, great. So we're going to be playing that again today, so you can listen, and I will assure you, you'll have it ringing in your head on the plane back to wherever home is, so we hope you enjoy it. But yeah, without further ado, I'll maybe go to the next slide. Don't know who does the slide. Next slide, please, at the back. Or it's you? No? Oh, great. Yes. Okay, wonderful. So this is our interactive exercise. So we invite you all to put yourselves in the shoes of the communities who are at risk, who are facing natural hazards like floods, heat waves, drought.
and to really think about what early action means to them. And instead of talking to each other, we know it's after lunch, so we want to get you moving, get you interacting, and get you being a bit creative. So the organisers have been very nice, and they've allowed us to have 3 different tables. So we have 2 at the back of the room and 1 at the front of the room. We have all your favourite things. We have Play-Doh, we have lollipop sticks, we have pipe cleaners, we have Brit stick, so we have a crepe paper, lots of things for you to just think, take yourself out of your comfort zone and just think about what is early action really meaning for communities on the ground who are facing these risks, and think, how can we actually visualize this? And you can work together in groups, or if you'd like, you can work in subgroups, but all the materials are at the table. So I'd invite you all to go to one of the tables, and for the next 5-10 minutes, you're going to have a bit of fun and interact, and there are a few prizes. So yeah, please do put all your energy in and create something. So yeah, and DJ will maybe play some music, and we can show the dance this time if that's possible. That's a bit not too loud, that's perfect. And if you can play the video, that'd be perfect.
For the future, time is getting stranger every day. So big, it's kind of hard to notice.
No.
So we're going to do a dance, right? You have to do cards for this. So it's going to go like this, and then it's going to go up.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for engaging. Get to those tables. Get the best materials.
Too much to do, too much to know. On high alert to a thing so distracting. We can't be prepared cause we're always reacting. Too much to lose by missing the cue.
For anyone that's just joining, you're very, very welcome. So you're straight into interactivity. So please find yourself to one of the tables. There's 2 at the back and 1 at the front. And everybody is working to create something with all of these lovely materials, to put themselves in the shoes of the communities and think about what early action means to them. Great, I'm seeing lots of discussion here. Great. Great, and DJ, let's play that music.
Are we fit for the future? Climate's getting stranger every day. But we're so busy, it's kind of hard to notice, right? So we're here to do a little dance today, and we hope you'll dance with us. So it's going to go like this, and then it's going to go up. I'll start. So.
Sweat till the work is complete. All of a rush of a feet.
No. Can you put the video on so that can you show the video of the dance? Yeah, the video of the dance. Thanks.
Are we fit for the future?
Great, we have some nice things down
Climate's
here.
getting
The
stranger
competition is
every
on.
day. But we're so busy, it's kind of hard to notice, right?
Oh, really? Oh, exciting what Steve is
So we're
doing.
going to do a little dance today, and we hope you'll dance with us.
Feel free to dance
Just gonna
along
go
to
like
the
this,
song. The video is now on the
And then it's going
screen.
to go up. I'll start. So.
Sweat till the work is complete. All of a rush of a feet. Too much to do, too much to know. On high alert to a thing so distracting. We can't be prepared cause we're always reacting. Too much to lose by missing the cue.
Okay.
Okay, so did everyone get that? When we get the sign, we do the thing, and we shouldn't get hurt. Everyone okay? Should we do this? A little practice? Okay. Yeah, we can do this, right? Yeah. Okay. Whew. Here we go.
After disaster, we blasted each crack. Need to move on, that we're gonna go back. We already danced to each notification. Similar steps back with new information. We must pay attention.
Signal wasn't clear enough.
Welcome, welcome. Anybody that's just joined, you're very welcome. You can find yourself to one of the tables and interact with the discussion that's
Just a
ongoing now.
tad.
Do you need something that's a bit more obvious?
Yes, please.
How about something that's a bit more brassy?
That's hard to miss, right? Okay, so when we hear the trombone, we all do the thing. What happens when we hear the trombone? We do the thing. One more time. We hear the trombone, we do the thing. Okay.
Listen to science, this is our chance. Stay safe and embrace the anticipation dance. Get ready faster. Avert the disaster. When the warning comes,
She's gonna get ready.
be smart and
Everybody. Working. You did it. You turned early warning into early anticipation and action. But I love it.
We're in the same storm, but it's not the same boat. Some are sitting on yachts while the rest fight to float. It's not too late. Stop looking back. Anticipate and be ready to act.
Freestyle.
Okay, 30 seconds, everyone. So some of your wonderful creations are a bit tricky to move. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask at least one person from each of the tables to present the creation that they're making. And we're all going to move to that table to see what they've made. Okay? Looks like this table's finished, so that's great. This table's just finishing up and this just finishing up. Okay, so we're going to do a very quick countdown. So I'm going to ask everybody to move. Is this table fully ready now? Are you ready to present the group up front? How many things do you have? Just one or okay, so maybe what we'll do is because you have so many little ones, you could present together. You can show these two. Okay, because up front, this group has made a lot of little ones, and it seems that they'd be able to kind of carry them around. So I'm going to ask them to just come up the front real quick. We don't have very long, so if I say combined, 1 minute. And Matthias, do you want to come up as well? Okay, you're all going to, great. do you want to share the mic?
For the future.
Okay, I'll come up with you.
It's getting stranger every day.
Okay, I know that everybody at the back is finishing off their creations, but if you could just get your attention for 1 minute, we're just going to hear about the creations that the group at the front made. So would you like to share? So if I can just get the attention of the people at the back. I know you're very busy, and we'll come to you in a second, but we'll just hear a little bit about the creations that the first group made related to the communities and how early action is interpreted for them. So would you like to start very quickly, because we're just going to do quick rounds.
It's an airtight food grain storage spot or basket. So we should distribute before endangering of flood.
I do have an anticipation parachute that should mitigate the impact of the fall, but it shows more that we have to embrace failure and learn.
Mine is a quick one. It's about trigger. You can't act until you see the trigger. So you see this bar? That's what you say.
Hello.
You're saying, thank you.
I'm a scientist.
Thank you. And I have early warning, early action chain. We start with data turning in through certain processes into information, and then action. And at the end, we have a happy human that has received early action. Thank you.
Hi, well, I got inspired by this idea when I was in Cambodia, seeing boats under the houses of, under people's houses. So I cannot make a boat, but I can make a raft. So you have your raft and you deploy it before the water rises.
We do this. A little practice. Okay. Very quickly. Yeah, we can do this, right?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
My one is actually the local dissemination tools. It's called in the village mic. When any early one forecasted by the meteorological department, then our volunteer, they are disseminated in the community level for evacuation, sheltering, as well as other response. This is the kind of just like, hello, this is the signal number 1, please people go to the shelter. Signal number 3, you come to the island. This type of dissemination we are doing, which is very much localized. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is the vehicle for flood area. It's made by banana tree. During the emergency time, we can make it easily and we can rescue people very quickly. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So many. Let's give so much insight into all of the different early actions. Wonderful. This is brilliant. So I think our group at the back has managed to come down. So I'll ask you to present next.
This is the elevated flood shelter. So communities where we work are affected by floods every year. So early actions and for communities mostly mean access to flood shelter with all of the community individuals, including people with disabilities, get access to the flood shelter during the times of flood.
The person who live in the shelter, they are safe, and the person who are not living in the safe shelter, coming elsewhere, seeing different disaster situation, they get died. So it's a message to stay calmly within a safe shelter.
This is amazing, brilliant, thank you. Yeah, give them all a round of applause. So I'd like to, so this table is finished. Is there anything else from this table? We just have a few more minutes. Or the back table, do you think it's possible to bring it up, or are we going to all move down to you? We're all going to go down to the back table. I'm sorry, we're going to make you all move. But this session is all about interactivity, so get used to it. You're going to be moving a bit more too. So we'll all move down to the bottom group to see their creation. Thanks again to the wonderful 2 other groups. That's really insightful. And I hope it was fun. Did you have fun? Yes, great. So if you'd like to come down and see the creation, we'd really appreciate it. It's too immobile, so we can't actually move the creation. So if you'd like to come down.
We're in the same storm, but it's not the same boat. Some are sitting on yachts while the rest fight to float. It's not
Okay, great. So, oh wow, this is amazing. Anybody that's sitting down, you're missing out. Okay, I really think you should all come up and have a look at this. This is very collaborative. Wow. Okay, who's going to explain this? Who do I give the mic to?
I'll start, but it's very much a collaborative effort. So I just need one of my teammates to talk about this piece here. Where did you go?
I mean, this is somehow like a DRR timeline.
Yes. So we have our early warning system, but we've also put in, incorporated some climate change adaptation. So we have some nature-based solutions, of which I was on this end. So, yes. So we've planted more trees to try to really reduce some of the impacts of the flooding. However, we still had a flood, thankfully. As mentioned above there, we had boats already, particularly for the vulnerable people, so they already had their lifeline and were connected. It's also a bit metaphorical, doesn't have to be an actual boat. And we've made sure that we have bridges.
Climate's getting stranger every day.
So this has been sponsored thanks to
We're so busy, it's kind of hard to notice, right?
This is our flood warning? Yes. our flood warning
So we're here to do a little dance
here,
today.
and
we help you guys
also
with this.
some
So
raised
it's going to go like this,
houses as well.
and then it's going to go up. All
Did I miss?
Sweat till the work is complete.
Okay, great. And thanks to the Anticipation Hub, which sponsored this.
Oh, you're very welcome. You did all the work. Thank you for engaging. I know it's not easy. We've been sitting a lot, and thank you so much. Aren't you proud? This is amazing. So please do take pictures. We'll keep them intact. Maybe all of the other creations, you're very welcome to bring them home, or you're very welcome to leave them here, and we can take a picture at the very end, maybe with this. That would be really nice if everybody wanted to do that. Say it again. So thank you, everybody. You can get back to your seats now. We're going to have a couple of presentations, but don't worry. We're going to have lots more interactivity. You can see there's already some pieces on your chairs, so there is a little game coming up.
It's kind of hard to notice, right?
Hi, everyone. So I've been tasked to set the scene, or they say, in this panel normally. But just when we were preparing, I was asked, okay, which graph should we choose to explain how anticipatory action is linked to disaster risk reduction? And we cannot actually come up with an agreement on which graph of which organization explains it better. So I would just again invite us to look at the concept from a very simple terms. I hope that many of you actually have been to many of the amazing anticipatory action sessions that we organized even since the pre-conference, so 5 days ago on Monday. But if you didn't, so this is what anticipatory action is when we talk about anticipatory action. This is not, let's say, a standard UN definition, but this is something that we, the organizations that have been working on anticipatory action in the past few years, such as the Red Cross, Red Crescent network, the UN agencies, and the START network. So anticipatory action, the action happens before the hazard's impact. The objective of the action is to reduce or whenever possible prevent the predicted impact. And how is it done? It's done through forecast and collaborative or collaborative analysis. And it's primarily glued by three components, which is the trigger side, so the science side, when to act, where to act, and the planning side, and of course the financing. We know more and more, and we have better evidence that having that pre-arranged financing in advance gives anticipatory action a better chance to be implemented in time ahead of the impact. So we had also today a full room on impact-based forecasting. There are actually 2 sessions on impact-based forecasting. This is really very much at the core of anticipatory action. So by using forecast and risk analysis, we can determine when, where, with whom, with and for whom to implement anticipatory action to protect lives and livelihoods of those who are most vulnerable. So again, by applying this approach, we are using science. So we think that anticipatory action is an enhanced way to do disaster risk reduction, but this is for you also to discuss today. So according to UNDRR, disaster risk reduction is aimed at preventing new and reducing existing disaster risk and managing residual risk. So is anticipatory action part of, within, outside, alongside disaster risk reduction? So this is what we really want to hear from you today. Instead of putting graphs and explaining it, the concept, we would like to unpack this by listening to our speakers and actually also having you discuss the concept. So let's enhance our understanding of how DRR and anticipatory action activities connect in this session, but we believe that it definitely does connect, and that is why we are here at the Global Platform on Disaster Reduction. So next, calling Raymond and Catherine.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Jones. I am the Anticipatory Action Lead for FAO's Regional Office in Bangkok. And who are you?
I'm Raymond. I'm the IFRC Regional Coordinator for Asia Pacific, IFRC.
We also wear another hat together. We are married in a regional technical working group on anticipatory action for Asia Pacific. So Raymond and I do frequently get in touch and work together to create a bit more of a collaborative and coherent anticipatory action system within our region, and pointing towards Kara was saying, you know, really delivering that message there. But now we've heard like Kara lay that baseline for us and really kind of point out what is anticipatory action, provide the 101. I really want to know a bit more about what does this look like at the country level. Can you help me out?
Absolutely, yes. I can help you all out with that. With a bit of a community voice, we actually have a volunteer from the Bangladesh Red Crescent here who will tell us a bit more how it really works on the ground level. So what are the anticipatory action impacts that we see when we really act ahead of a disaster? So please welcome Ms. Rafi Akhtar from the Bangladesh Red Crescent. She's a volunteer for the Bogora unit.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon. Salamat siang. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Rafi Akhtar from Bangladesh. I am a volunteer Bangladesh Red Crescent Society, and I have been working with Red Crescent last 9 years. I live in very flood-prone district named Bogora district, where 60% area of this district is within chor land, means riverside lands. My area is affected by flood every year. From 2015, we have started forecast-based financing in our area. I would like to share my experience of anticipatory action for flood in 2017 or 2020. We provide support to the most vulnerable people like disabled person, aged person, pregnant women, for going to shelter by using their transport along with their movable assets. We provided cash of the most vulnerable household, and each household received Bangladeshi taka 5,000, which equivalent around $53. Before reaching the danger level of flood, household took early action like buying food for themselves, food for their cattle, paying debt money as well, paying treatment cost. We trained the community volunteers about early warning, early action as preparedness before flood season. Being a volunteer, I felt delighted and feel proud when I received appreciation from one of the widow women who is household head, consisting 6 family members, and as well as from the pregnant women. They blessing us with smiling face. That was amazing feeling for volunteers. I have many examples which motivated me to work as volunteer. Here I am sharing with one. Here I am sharing only one quoted message of a woman. She said, I bought feed for my cows and also made a raised platform to save my cows. The cash which I received from Red Crescent helped me to save my cows and as well as not to sell my cows by very cheap cost. Even I feed my children properly during the emergency time, during food, by using this cash. We provide all early action support, including with all COVID-19 safety materials. So I would like to say, as a volunteer, that forecast-based action is a very good way to reduce disaster risk reduction. So at last, but not the least, thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with this platform in here, Bali, Indonesia. Proud to be a volunteer, proud to be a part of Bangladesh Red Crescent Society, and proud to be a part of global platform for disaster risk reduction. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for transporting us to Bangladesh. That was absolutely fantastic. But is this happening in other parts of the world, Raymond? Can you take me to anywhere else?
That is actually happening in lots of places.
Fab.
Yes, yes. So we can also give you a bit more background on
That's
how
what I
Anticipatory
want.
Action works.
Thank you.
How do you feel about Ecuador?
Love it. Can we bring them to the stage?
Right, yeah.
Awesome. Where's our
So,
Ecuador person?
We will give you a bit more information about how Anticipatory Action works, looking at the trigger, the Anticipatory Action, and the financing mechanism. We actually have Mr. Jorge from the Ecuador Red Cross here who will give a bit more detail on that. Please. Yes. Can you change the slide, please? The next slide.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to speak about the volcanic ashfall activation in Ecuador. Next, please. Okay, the Shanghai Volcano is located in the Amazon area, and is active volcano, and the ash has some roots. You can see in the right picture how the ash is going to the big series. Next, please. Our anticipation actions has 3 etaps. First, the trigger. The more important situation is the relation with the technical and scientific institute. In this case, is the geographical scientific from the Ecuador. This institute proved the trigger. The second etap is the intervention map. You can see in this picture there are many places that has been identified by the government, by the society, and the Red Cross. In these areas, we have been working with the community for that they assume the risk. Don't forget that they are in the risk area. And in the 3 etaps is the prepositioned humanitarian assistance. We have in the area an strategic warehouse, and you can see the humanitarian assistance. Next, please. Yeah. With the anticipatory activity, we can help 1,000 persons with livelihood protection kits, 1,000 family health protection kits, and 378 families with cash transfer program. This area is all indigenous people. This is a big problem. These people don't know how is a credit card. Next, please. And after of intervention, we do an assessment. This is the result. First, barriers. The COVID context was a big problem. The people don't want to go out for your homes. The time between us is other problem, and local language. These 3 barriers we need to improve for the next actions. But there will be some things very good. First, the anticipation actions improve the community organization. the community assume the hazard is with all. Second, the people learn to use cash transfer programs, and the people need to learn use credit card and banks. Other points in the evaluation say that the people building shelters for animal or crops. This was a new point for the population. And the people said that use the protection implements. The indigenous people don't use masks for the ash. In the actuality, the people use for the COVID, but the ash don't use. It's important said that the livelihood recovery is an exit in this community, indigenous people. 98% of the population indicate that the health kit was useful for their protection, and 98% use the tools to manufacture shelters for livestock or crops. Yes, next. Okay, this is all, and this is a very big experience for the indigenous people, and receive cash and has a new tools and can protect your livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jorge.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like we've gone to Asia, we've gone to Latin America, but there's still a few regions that are missing. And I know the importance of contextualization for anticipatory action. Do you have anyone else from one of the regions that are missing?
Yeah, we can actually switch to drought, which is an interesting hazard for anticipatory action. In Kenya, we have a colleague from the Kenyan Red Cross, Miss Jemima, who can tell us a bit more about that as well.
Fantastic.
Thanks. Do you want a mic or you want to speak here? As you like.
So thank you.
Sorry, can we just have the first slide for the side event?
Okay, thank you. My name is Jemima Maina, and I work for the Kenya Red Cross, and I'm a climate research officer. And why are we all here? Why did we all fly to Bali? And the one conversation and one key name that has been mentioned all through is the community. And the community is the reason why we are all here gathered trying to find solutions sorry, for the hazards that are impacting our communities. And I'm going to give a case of Kenya and how Kenya Red Cross has been working on anticipatory action to alleviate the suffering of the different communities. So drought, as we all know, is a slow onset disaster. And in Kenya, we have a drought monitoring organization that is called the National Drought Management Authority. And each and every month, they do a monitoring survey within the community to find out what is the level of the drought within the different communities. And for every month, they develop a bulletin, and this is what we have been using to monitor the progression of drought. So our lead time that we use is usually 1 month. And one of the key things that is important to note is in Kenya, we've classified drought into normal, alert phase, alarm phase, and the crisis phase. So within the normal, everything is working as usual. These are the arid and semi-arid areas. So we usually have the climatic conditions being as normal as they can be within those areas. When we go to the alert phase, it's when we are seeing a progression of the drought conditions. Alarm phase is when we are seeing a severe progression, and crisis is where we call out a drought crisis within the country and within the areas. So for anticipatory action and the case that I'm going to be sharing, we did a test activation of our early action protocol, and I shared on our early action protocol during one of our previous sessions, but you'll find the information on the Anticipatory Hub. So for our early action protocol, we came up with different early actions that were geared towards reducing the impact of drought conditions to the communities. And one of the key things that we were trying to test with the early actions for the test activation is to see the level of coordination within the different partners that are involved, to see the level of communication across the different partners, and to see the effectiveness of the early actions and the linkage between the early warning and the early action. So we did the test activation during the October, November, December rainfall, and we decided to take one of the counties, and counties is our sub-national level in Kenya. We decided to take one of the counties that was at normal, but based on the seasonal forecast, they were going to be translating into alert phase. So we decided to test some of the early actions and to see if they are eligible, and number two, to see if they are able to maintain the county at normal phase. So some of the early actions that we did included having conversations with the community on the forecast for the season, and trying to help them understand what is the implication of the forecast. And this is done through a participatory process, which we call the participatory scenario planning. And then we did a rapid and participatory assessment of the wash facilities. And this included the identification and rehabilitation of strategic boreholes within the community so that they can be able to utilize the waters within the strategic boreholes carefully, so that they are able to have it transit them through the depressed forecasted rainfall. And then we did seed distribution, because one of the key things of the forecast was that we were going to have 1 month of rainfall, where ideally we usually have 3 months of rainfall, and the amount of rainfall was not sufficient for the crops that they grow for those areas. So we distributed fast maturing seeds that they were able to plant during that season, during the 1 month. And then we also did, in partnership with the government, livestock offtake for the livestock keeping farmers and the pastoralists, to help them be able to offtake their livestock during a period where they're still healthy and they are not impacted by the drought conditions. So after all this is said and done, we were able to see a few changes within the community. And one of the key things that, and my apologies, I do not have a photo of that. So we had communities actually in the agricultural areas actually harvesting for that season. And most of the other communities did not harvest in the areas that we did not implement the early actions. We had a bit of a challenge with the livestock offtake because of cultural and religion issues, but for some who were able to do it, they were able to appreciate the fact that we were able to work within the timeline before the health of the livestock is deteriorated. One of the key challenges, and I think it's a challenge for all of us, is financing. And within the Kenya Red Cross and within the Red Cross Red Crescent movement, we have access to the DREF, which is tailored to anticipatory action. But given that even the early action protocol, it's a multi-stakeholder approach. But the government sectors that we are working with, the other non-governmental actors that we are working with, do not necessarily have the financing to support early action. And that's one of the key things that is a struggle, I think, for Kenya in terms of drought and anticipatory action, but also an opportunity for advocacy for anticipatory action. And I think as I close, in terms of creativity and innovation within the community, I think one of the key things is the community is the biggest stakeholder that we are ever going to get. And if they do not understand the process, if they do not understand what it is that we are trying to do, then we are not able to include them. And creativity and innovation starts from a point of understanding. So if we do not understand, if they do not understand what it is that we are trying to do, then they will not be able to apply it and contextualize it to their situation. So as I close, kindly, let us include our community. Let us help them understand what it is we are saying in terms of early warning, early action, and anticipatory action. Thank you so much.
Good, thank you so much. That's a very strong and comprehensive message. Good, I think it is actually time to do a bit of an activity, standing up and so on. You already have actions on your seats. I think all of you have them. If you take a look at them and then think a bit, well, how does that fit into what we have just been discussing? We heard about community level early actions. We have talked a bit about trigger, anticipatory action and financing, but then within that broader spectrum of disaster risk reduction, anticipatory action and response, I'm actually just wondering, where is Catherine? Catherine, where are you?
Hello, I'm all the way in the back of the room. Hi, everyone. So as Raymond was just saying, we're going to be getting moving, we're going to getting up, because now we've had some fantastic speeches come through to us to allow us to understand what does anticipatory action or forecast-based financing, early warning, early action mean in different countries and spaces. But with these little tickets that you have and the actions, do they sit here with anticipatory action? Or wait, we move a little bit. Get moving today. Run, run, run. Oh, here we've got another one. Does it fit into the response area? So if you can't see that here, the blue one is response. And Raymond, there's a third one. Can you see that one for me?
Yeah, if you come over here, if you think your action belongs more in the disaster risk reduction area, then you should come over here. Or, but also, if you think, well, it fits in between, maybe it fits in between DRR and AA, you should actually stand in the middle.
Exactly, because some can wear different hats, can't they?
Yeah. So we encourage you to take your action, stand up, and move towards where you think this action belongs. DRR, AA, response, or somewhere in between. There are also more, Lydia in the middle has more actions if you don't have one. So as you move along, discuss a bit with the people that you bump into to really understand, well, what do other people think about the action?
All right, you have 1 minute to figure this out. I know it's a bit of a time pressure, a bit of a time cooker, so get standing. We will be asking people why. So.
Yes, we want to see you move. We want to see a bit where people stand with the different actions. Also check maybe with your neighbor if they agree.
Exactly. Check if you agree with me.
Are we fit for the future? Stranger every day. We're so busy, it's kind of hard to notice, right? So we're here to do a little dance today, and we hope you'll dance with us. So it's going to go like this, and then it's going to go up. I'll start.
Sweat till the work is complete. All of a rush of a feet. Too much to do, too much to know. On high alert to a thing so distracting. We can't be prepared cause we're always reacting. Too much to lose by missing the cues.
30 more seconds.
let me show you. Do you see that? When the signal comes, quick, take action to protect yourself. You can do something like this. Okay?
Okay, did everyone get that? When we get the sign, we do the thing, and we shouldn't get hurt. Everyone okay? Should we do this? A little practice? Okay. Yeah, we can do this, right? Yeah. Okay. Whew. Here we go.
Okay, good. I hope you figured out where your action belongs. So we want to see a bit where you stand. So, for example, placing sandbags. There are actions. Some of you have placed sandbags. Where are these people? Just raise your hand if you have placed sandbags. No, place sandbags. Or is there someone who has placed sandbags? No.
What about setting up early warning systems? Where are you? Does anyone have... Oh, I'm coming to you. We're coming.
So that signal was the forecast warning.
Can you tell me why you're here in disaster risk reduction?
Just a tad.
Part of the preparedness, so I mean, in the DRR cycle, I mean, we should be in the setting of our early warning systems first.
I completely agree with that. That needs to be the backbone of any system for DRR and anticipatory action, which is part of the DRR system. So we've got one in the DRR box. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have evacuation? Is evacuation anywhere?
Yeah, who has evacuation?
Evacuation.
Okay.
We got one.
Great, Madhab, you have a mic, perfect.
Stay safe and embrace the
So I have evacuation of livestock, and I'm standing in between response and anticipatory action because I think it can be done either way. So you can do it before the disaster, you evacuate the livestock, but also once response as well. Livestock
Okay, great. That's a great example. It fits into what. Do we have more people with evacuation? Anyone who has also evacuation? We see someone actually put it more towards AA. Maybe just a sentence on that.
So mine's evacuation of livestock. I put in the anticipatory action simply because this is something that you need to do within that time period before a disaster hits.
Very good, yeah. Good, maybe one more action. Washing hands with soap.
Washing hands with soap.
Washing hands.
Where are ya? Washing hands with soap. Anyone's got that?
Nobody.
Washing hands with soap.
What about cash distribution? Does anyone got cash distribution? Oh no, there's someone with a hand up there. I don't know. Is that washing hands with soap?
Cash distribution, okay. Cash distribution over there. Okay, that's interesting. So we have more response. Maybe a statement quickly on why you put it into response.
So I reckon with cash distribution, I could just run round and round the room actually, because you could distribute it ahead and help communities to prepare for or prevent the disaster. You can distribute in response to help people deal with what they face, and you desperately need it in DRR as well. So I thought I could run, but that would be unseemly, so I'm not.
Great, yeah, and then we also had cash over here between AA and response.
I think I agree with that. So cash is only modality. You can use it for anticipatory action. You can use it for the response mostly. But in case you want to have some kind of like, stipend for DRR, that also happen. Thanks.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I actually also want to know, what are the people in the very center doing with their actions? Maybe just if some of you want to share which actions you have and why you are standing in that triangle of DRR, AA, and response. Anyone? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I got the paper with health sensitization.
Sorry, what is it?
Sensitization on health issues.
Health sensitization,
So
okay.
sensitization, I thought that is also a bit of an advocacy work that you do with the stakeholders to basically, it fall into different segments. Like whenever you sensitize or advocate actors for preparedness, that could be DRR, whenever you sensitize actors for sort of working for early warning, early action, it could be an anticipatory thing, and then also for applicable for effective response as well. So it's a bit of like, that's why I'm basically here, not like, it's a cross-cut for everything basically. Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a very good example of how that can be very cross-cutting. Maybe just one final intervention and then we move on to the next seat. Anyone who wants to share anything? Yes? From the DRR, yes. We haven't had much from DRR yet.
Yes, who wants to share from DRR? One final intervention, okay.
Yeah, there we have someone.
Okay, my intervention is building dams, which is a great thing to do, but it's a pretty serious major infrastructure investment. So if you're already in anticipatory action, I think it's too late. You need to do that beforehand.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Great. I hope you all enjoyed that little exercise that we had.
Exactly. I just want to welcome everyone back to your seat. So go and take back where you started. But I also want to invite 6 people that have been pre-identified for our next session to join us on stage.
Yes, all hot seat speakers, please join us.
Sliding into our next part of this session is our hot seat questions. And we've got a great lineup of people to help us dive deeper into the anticipatory action process, don't we, Roman?
Absolutely. Yes, please take a seat again. You can actually keep your action.
Yeah, bonus. Nice little prize there.
Good, we're still, one more, 2 more people who are joining us.
I think we nearly have everyone.
Great, so this is going to be a really exciting, very quick hot seat session. You see we have 6 AA experts or DRR or DRF experts here with us who will talk a bit more about how to mainstream AA into government system. Maybe please sit down again and just listen to our hot seat speakers.
Exactly, and I think this is a very important topic because as we've seen anticipatory action grow over the past few years, we're now really trying to dive into how can we mainstream this, how can we institutionalize it, what do we need? So our 6 hot seat guests will allow us to deep dive into that subject, but who's going to kick us off and who's got the first minute to 2 minutes, Raymond?
Yes, so this is going to be a quick fire, really rapid round. It's going to be Mr. LA from the AHA Center who will tell us a bit more how to mainstream AA into government DRM systems. Please.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Raymond. Hi, everyone. We have 3 things to share about the ASEAN experience about anticipatory action. The first one is the concept of anticipatory action is not entirely new to the ASEAN region. Bits and pieces of the anticipatory action are practiced in some member states even before it gained global traction. What needs to be done is the institutionalization among member states, strengthen its practice, and scale up its implementation both at the regional and national levels. Second, the incorporation of anticipatory action in the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response Work Program is a huge step towards this direction. This reflects the collaborative commitment of the ASEAN member states, the AHA Center, the ASEAN Secretariat, and other regional mechanisms and partners in advancing anticipatory action in the ASEAN Regional Disaster Management Agenda. And third, the next step for the ASEAN region now is to continuously transform this regional agenda into actual outputs. We are thankful for the support of the partners thus far, but there is still much to be done. It may still be a long way from now, but the ASEAN region, through its work program, remains steadfast to do this, to do anticipatory action more, do it better, and do it together. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very powerful statement in just 2 minutes or so. Good.
Yes, super succinct. And to complement that as well, we saw on Wednesday this week the launch of the ASEAN Framework on Anticipatory Action and Disaster Management. So a big congratulations on spearheading that particular approach into the system. So yeah, congratulations, very commendable. I would like to invite to the floor for the hot seat next Dr. Ahmed from ICPAC. The floor is yours, sir, to let us know about your thoughts.
Thank you very much. With respect to anticipation and mainstreaming anticipatory actions in governments, since I am also from intergovernmental body, one thing I would say is we need to understand how governments work. Governments work with strategies, with plans, with policies, and so on. So when we think of mainstreaming, I would say that we need to find a way that we put those aspirations, those concepts of anticipatory actions within that document. If not revising the whole strategy, at least we have to annex it. I would like to explain that by example. As IGAD, as intergovernmental body, we have disaster risk management strategy, we have climate change adaptation strategy. What we have embarked on is to develop a roadmap for anticipatory actions, basically impact-based forecasting and forecast-based actions. So the same can happen for the countries, and I believe that that's maybe the best way to do, rather than trying to revise a strategy, which is not always straightforward for governments. We can annex it to the existing strategies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. It was very conclusive and very nicely, tightly put together in what we need to see from governments, which I think is where we're all trying to head to next, is where does this go? How can we support government? So thank you so much for that insight. Very insightful.
Yeah, very excited to
Raymond.
see another kind of regional approach to that. That's perfect. Good. Then next we have on this hot seat Miss Anna from the START Network. Your time is...
All right. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, well, of course, we intend this to be a conversation more than anything, but yeah, we have little time. I think from our end, we always said whenever there's something that needs urgent action, it's a whole of society approach. For anticipatory action, for the past how many years, it has been a whole of AA community approach. Meaning, from our side, we've been doing the work from upstream work and also downstream work. So what we do is that we work with our partners in government to do the rethinking in terms of policy, so that we are able to enable the local governments to release that public funding for anticipatory action. Because there is, from the previous days of discussion, we know there is enormous possibility for releasing, unlocking public financing for anticipatory action. At the same time, we work with local government and communities to be able to demonstrate what is possible at the community level, wherein our the most vulnerable can input into the contingency planning, where that can be enacted days ahead, the emergency, the landfall of typhoon, and all of that. So we can put that that experience of working with local governments and communities as learnings and evidence that will inform policy at the national level. As an example, we have already with our continuous advocacy as a whole of AA community, some policy at the national level has already changed. In fact, the disaster response have already incorporated early action as part of the definition for disaster response. So I think that's a success of the whole of AA community approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. I think very good points about up and downstream as well. Good. Then.
Yes, moving on to our next speaker, and thanks Anna for providing that kind of community perspective as well. But I have Mr. Beeple who can hopefully complement this from the Nepal Red Cross Society. So over to you, Mr. Beeple.
Thank you. Namaste. Good afternoon. From Nepalese perspective, I would like to highlight three aspects here. The first is, my former colleagues told, like leadership of government, collaboration, coordination with government is very important. So like the government can take a lead, and it is also important for developing policies, SOPs, and many things that comes from government. And I can give you an example, like a few weeks back, we have conducted this national dialogue platform under the flagship of National Disaster Risk Management, Risk Reduction and Management Authority. And there were more than 40 agencies coming together and sharing their actions on early actions, forecast-based actions. So I think this can be a good example. Similarly, we have a community of practice where the NDRRMA is leading, and there are also various agencies working in the area of the anticipatory actions in the country. So, and another is like developing the ownership of the local municipalities. We are working very closely with the local municipalities, and local municipalities, they have resources to sustain the interventions, and it is very important. And another one is the community engagement. I think the communities know what might be the early actions. So working with communities to identify and implement the early actions is always a win-win game. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. People. Really insightful intervention there. Thank you so much. I will hand over to Raymond, who's our 5th hot seat
Cool. We're
candidate.
actually staying with Nepal, and we're very pleased to have Ms. Katarina from the World Food Programme in Nepal.
Thank you, Raymond. Good afternoon, everyone. So I also would like to continue and stay in Nepal for a little longer. So last year, in October 2021, after the official monsoon or flood season was declared over, a forecast was showing that there will be flooding in large parts of Nepal. This forecast happened to be meeting the criteria for WFP activating its anticipatory intervention. So despite this unusual sort of unseasonal flooding and having a trigger that gives us the shortest possible lead time, in fact only hours, we did activate the intervention, and within 72 hours of the forecast, 80% of beneficiaries received assistance. These people are the most vulnerable in terms of the flood risk, being every year affected by flooding, and in terms of the impacts, socioeconomic, social impacts, these people are always decimated. Our results show that these people maintain their food security status. 97% was food secure. 70% did not resort to negative coping. So how to achieve this? Well, we need a system that enables. This means we need to have policies, we need to have institutional setup that creates an enabling operational environment. To do that, we have to be working with government at all levels. National governments looking at national level policies, trickling down to regulations, working with district governments to have standard operating procedures that will let us do this smoothly in a given time. We need to be working with local emergency operation centers that plug in communities to bring the community voices and implement in that manner. Because we know risk is systemic, we have to be responding and acting in a systematic manner. We cannot be going only to certain communities. We cannot be doing pilots. We need this at scale, so we need to be ready at scale, financing. Likewise, we know these households or beneficiaries are aggregating various types of vulnerability, so we need to be linking climate adaptation, social protection, and these systems to systematically empower them and make them more resilient. To be able to do that, we need to work together with governments, with communities, with Red Cross societies and all partners around the table to be able to achieve that even in a complex context like Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For Nepal, I think you're very much echoing also that ecosystem of partners who need to be there to implement its anticipatory action, so that's nice to hear.
And a key point, social protection systems. How can we better link to them moving forward as well? I think that's a critical, exploration that we are now embarking on, as a whole anticipatory action community. So thank you very much for highlighting that point, Katarina. I would like to hand it to our last hot seat panelist, Mr. Matthias from the German Federal Office. So over to you for your thoughts.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon also from my side. Not an easy task to talk after 5 really good short speeches that already said a lot, but I would maybe have a short look back, maybe not that short anymore. When we started all of that as a Federal Foreign Office, Germany to support with the Red Cross and other partners, it was very much the task to say humanitarian assistance is only reactive. We have to do it differently. A very humanitarian thing to do. We have to act ahead of the crisis. Now, I believe we knew from the beginning this builds on a lot of other work, on the disaster risk management work, and that's very important. Wherever possible, we have to build on what's there, and that's also something that we, when now the G7 foreign ministers endorsed the statement on strengthening anticipatory action just some weeks ago, we made very prominent that disaster risk management should always be the basis of that. But at the same time also, when we look at the different elements that we looked at throughout the session, at the triggers, at the actions, and at the financing, this is all something that we can obviously use when we integrate it in all the different ways of acting ahead of a disaster. That can be from a government, in a community. It is important that we see that we can kind of twitch and turn and see financing in particular. We have to have the financing, and we have to look in what we do throughout the whole conference here. We have to see that we work integrated between development, humanitarian assistance, and climate action. And that's something that will be our task as Germany to collaborate together with our foreign or other ministries like the development ministry to really provide the best support that we can use the learning that we gathered from 7-8 years of anticipatory action and integrate them in national disaster risk management, in community action, in community-led disaster risk reduction, and all of that. And keep doing it in anticipatory action, in humanitarian assistance, wherever that makes sense and it is necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matthias. And I really like the point that you brought up on that important G7 declaration that was made. That was very landmark as well of the community. So we've had, I think, a couple of wins in the month of May, both the ASEAN framework on anticipatory action and disaster management and the G7 coming through. So I feel like we're really moving into institutionalization now and mainstreaming. So thanks to everyone in the wonderful panel for your thoughts and ideas. Really appreciate it. Over to you, Raymond.
Good, yeah. So we had 6 very hot statements, and now we would like to open the floor for any questions that you might have, for any specific aspects that our 6 panelists addressed. Yes, we have already 1, 2, 3 people
Just because I'm close,
would
maybe
like
we
to
start
speak.
here?
The microphone is coming, yes.
Oh, yeah, you're there? Okay. Go next.
Thank you for the panelists, your, different remarks. I am Nilkant Pandey from Nepal. We have different funds for, the DR work and the response work, but being an anticipatory action, a new topic for the disaster risk reductions and humanitarian actions, we don't have, a budget kept aside for the anticipatory action, usually from the government too, and from the development worker sides. So is there any global practice that you have been doing, keeping a separate budget aside or making a window within the DRR portfolio or within the humanitarian response portfolio to apply for an anticipatory action prior to event of any disaster or if any thresholds triggers? So I would like to learn, is there any, from the panelists as well as from the, the participants, is there any global practices that you have been doing in your country? Thank you.
Any of our panelists want to take that question on for us? Anyone? Anna?
I can try. Hi. Yeah, well, I think many of us are come also with a development background, no? So both development and humanitarian background. What actually, what really attracted me to anticipatory action is that it allows you to build on your development work. The thing is, with anticipatory action, the system has to be built incrementally. So you have the importance of identifying the vulnerable people in the community. So if you're already working in a specific area which is already exposed and vulnerable, most likely if your development project is a development project, you deal with the vulnerable areas, and vulnerable communities exposed. So that's already a starting point. And the thing is, with anticipatory action, everything has to be developed before. Everything has to be pre-agreed. The episode between the actual event and the threshold when you will be able to deploy it is only very limited. Therefore, all the activities, all the preparation, so your preparedness action should already have been, have taken place already. So, and then the specific input that you may need is only for that period, that window of opportunity. But of course, it will depend whether you're dealing with a rapid onset or a slow onset emergency. The thing is, even if you're doing preparedness action, what is very important is a clear understanding regarding the nature of the hazard that you're dealing with. So that can be done at the DRR level, at your preparedness level as well. So I know maybe not all agencies have dedicated resources for DRR, like what was mentioned by the lady from Kenya regarding DREF. With START Network, we have our Anticipation Fund. We have a lot of members who can access that. Also, we start to establish what we call Start Ready, which is predictable funding. But it's not. It doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot do something at the community level. Sorry, I know that. That you cannot do something right now. You can prepare for your uptake of anticipatory action right this moment. So I think that's what I'd like to say.
Thanks. Yeah, did you want to compliment or did you want to? Yeah, sure.
No. Yes? Yes. Okay. I think we really have to build on the system that's already there. Just find an effective way how to link it, but that needs to be done systematically. Like mentioned before, we have to make sure that the policies are actually enabling the connection of the development humanitarian and the regulations, very importantly, because sometimes we have policies, but it doesn't trickle down to the operational regulations. Likewise, we need to have a fiscal space that enables that, either domestic or international. So the elements are already there. We just have to work on systematically linking them in a way that allows for this to happen. So we are not starting from scratch, and I think that's a very good position. Thank you.
Good, yeah, I think as we're trying to link AA, DRR, and so on, we're also trying to link the financing for that. Yes, more questions from the floor.
One here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Santosh Dahal from Plan International, Nepal. Just one query. As everyone mentioned about the most vulnerable groups and all things, how gender and protection have been mainstreamed in the anticipatory action projects? Because as being the most vulnerable, pregnant women, lactating mother, and young girls and women, how they are being protected? As everything is being general, or do you have any specific interventions? Thank you.
That's a very good question. I actually came out of a session just before this on gender and social inclusion, so it's a very timely follow-up. So thank you very much. Now, does anyone of our panel want to talk about anticipatory action and how it's related to gender and social inclusion and what can we do? Katrina. Yeah.
Okay. So again, I will share experiences from the work that we do in Nepal. So with the communities and targeting we do, okay, am I?
We can hear you.
I'm sorry. We are specifically targeting categories from persons with disability, from gender perspective and different vulnerabilities. And we're working with community to make sure that inclusion is happening, but also for a series of training that there is adaptation. And this is done with partners like Nepal Red Cross Society that have the best footprint on the ground to be able to actually reach these communities. Undoubtedly, we have to do more, adapt and adjust, but I think the mechanisms are already in place, so we have to just follow in that spirit. Thank you.
Good, thank you so much. I'm not sure if we still have a question or shall we move on?
Raymond, one
There's
second. I'm
one.
so sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Nadia. Mr. Beeple, did you want to have a quick intervention before we move on? Yeah, of course. Your mic should turn on. I was informed that they just come on automatically, so you don't need to press anything. So, yeah, there you go. We can hear you. Oh.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you nice and clearly.
Just maybe just one line example. In Nepal, while collecting data and collecting information, we are giving priority for the people with disabilities. And when making response, those based on this risk data, vulnerability data, we are supporting to the people with disability. So in anticipatory action, I think still we are developing, let us say, but there is a big consideration on how we can reach to the most vulnerable, including people with disabilities and other social groups. They are at risk.
No, thank you very much. And I like how that kind of goes to the sentiment that we shouldn't have, this type of work as an afterthought, but it needs to be embedded in part of our design, programming, and normative. So really thank you to both for your answer there. And Raymond, back over to you, and sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, good. I know we already have a question lined up. Yeah, just a very brief one.
So, thank you. My name is Paulo Soares from Timor-Leste. I'm working for AHP, Australian Humanitarian Partnership, consists of 5 INGO, CARE International, Caritas, Plan International, Oxfam, and World Vision. So thank you for the chance. Thank you for all panelists and moderator. So let me start with some of a couple things. My question directly to a colleague from Nepal, which is related to your mentioning the localization and decision makers, which is, I'm thinking that these two aspects are very important, which is we need to think of, because, the engagement of local people and then decision maker at the country level is extremely a challenge. So if there any experience you have in terms of coordination mechanism that we can take away from this conference to bring to our communities and our society, because as I know, the vulnerability is the main issues or challenge in between our community. So why I'm saying this? Because our community, so just quick, because my understanding, the community issue is they want to see something very, really tangible, like physical things, and then economically be accepted. So is there any mechanism, coordination at a global level or regional level we can learn from this conference? Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Maybe just a very quick reflection from one of the Nepal colleagues or other on this question. And then we actually have to close the session already. In 10 minutes, it's over. Mr. Beeple, maybe, if you or...
Okay, thank you for this question. Maybe I will shortly highlight, Red Cross in Nepal is like auxiliary to the government. So we work we work in the priorities and plans to contribute for the government. So we are very closely working with local municipalities, which are known as the local government. Actually, they have the authority to organize and to plan the disaster risks risk management activities at the local level. So I think first is how closely we work with the local municipalities. I also shared during my presentation, like, I think the local municipalities, they have resources. There is not so, they are resourceful. What they need is they need some ideas, they need to build their capacity. So we work closely with them to build their capacity on how to carry on these anticipatory works. And to identify the early actions, we discuss with the communities. We organize workshops and we organize meetings with communities. And interesting thing is, like for us, like sometimes what we think when we say the early action, the idea of cash distribution, something that comes in our mind. But for communities, I think in many places we found like cash was not their first priority. Like sandbags, clearance, opening of the canals, they were identifying the safe areas. They were the first priorities. So when we work with communities, we work with them, we plan with, identify the activities with them. I think that gives really good ideas, and I think that also can be very beneficial for communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. People. I'll pass you back to Raymond. Maybe we can close off this session, and thanks again for the six of you for providing this amazing insight into mainstreaming anticipatory action. But over to you, Raymond, for any last words.
Yeah, no, good. I think a big round of applause for our 6 hot seat panelists. And then with that, we're almost about to close the session, but I want to hand over to Lydia, who will talk a bit more about
Catherine, this session. And thank you, Raymond, and thank you, panelists. Wonderful. You may go back or you may stay. It's up to you. Yep. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Great. So if we can just go to the next slide, that would be brilliant. So thank you, everybody, for all your attention. Wasn't that a jam-packed session? Can you imagine that we've been just making creations, we've all been around the room, and we've had an amazing panel. I think we've done a very good job at packing a lot into this session. So please do bear with us for the next 5 minutes. So I'm just going to tell you very briefly about the Anticipation Hub, and then we're going to hear from 2 of our partners. So the Anticipation Hub is an initiative hosted by the German Red Cross in collaboration with the International Federation of the Red Cross Red Crescent and the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Centre. We have over 93 partners, which is really exciting across the Red Cross Red Crescent movement, but also across NGOs, universities, research institutes, governments, even more and more, UN agencies and network initiatives. And we're really inviting you all to come and join and come on board with the Anticipation Hub. It's a learning and sharing platform, so you can access lots of knowledge resources on the Anticipation Hub. There's a library of resources. We have a newsletter. We have different global maps and databases. So if you're wondering, oh, I want to learn more about what's happening in Kenya. Oh, that project in Ecuador was really interesting. Go to the Anticipation Hub. You're going to find the information there. You can find our global map. You can click on a particular country. If you are curious about the different early actions, so go onto our Anticipation Hub. We have an early action database, so you can search for all different actions, different hazards, different sectors, and you're going to find them there. We also have different advocacy and policy material, and we have, which I want to introduce next, we have different working groups with the Anticipation Hub. So we really want to build this community of knowledge, learning, and exchange, and we have different working groups around different topics. So if you go to the next slide. We have different working groups hosted by our partners based on the demand of our community. So we have one on anticipatory action in conflict settings, one on Earth observation, and the latest one around health and anticipatory action, one on linking risk financing and anticipatory action with our partners REAP and the INSU Resilience Partnership, and one around monitoring, learning and evaluation, and protection, gender and inclusion. So these are definitely a space where you can exchange and engage. So protection, gender and inclusion was mentioned today. So that's a space where you can connect and engage around that topic. So we really welcome you all to engage there. And yeah, it's just an offer to really utilize the Anticipation Hub and use that as the space for all the knowledge exchange and learning. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Farai from Plan International, who's going to give a very quick pitch on what you're doing in the Protection, Gender and Inclusion Working Group.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Farai from Plan International in Zimbabwe. Within the Anticipatory Hub, I think she has mentioned that we've got the Protection, Gender and Inclusion Technical Working Group. So in terms of what we are doing from Zimbabwe, the anticipatory actions are to drought. I think it's quite similar to what my colleague from Kenya has presented. But I think what is key is actually just making sure that gender inclusion protection are mainstreamed, I think, in all stages of actually developing the early action protocols. When we are rolling out the protocols, responding, acting before the disaster happens, we just need to make sure that we are mainstreaming all the actions. I think what I'll just do for now, because of our time, is just to make a call to you guys. If you think you can contribute to that technical working group, just reach out to Lydia, and she will actually give you details on how you can join. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Fari. That's wonderful. Thanks so much. And so, as I explained, within the Anticipation Hub, we have our own working groups that we're working together with our partners to expand knowledge exchange, but we also recognize that there are other initiatives that are also having working groups, and as much as possible, we're trying to support those working groups, promote those working groups, so that we can together cover many different topics. And one example of this is the Risk Communication Working Group that the Risk Informed Early Action Partnership has recently launched, and Lisa Robinson from BBC Media Action is going to just tell you a little bit about that and the background behind and why we need to focus on that to reach communities.
Hi, Lisa Robinson from, is it on? Yeah. BBC Media Action, and we are a member of the Anticipation Hub, also of REAP, the Risk Informed Early Action Partnership. I think all of you recognize, and I was pleased to hear many times in the past week, how media and communication is integral across disaster risk reduction, especially so in early warning and anticipatory action. So we're exploring how to improve communication in that working group with REAP. There's also a chapter in the GAR that's just come out that talks about communication and how it relates across disaster risk reduction. But we're closing the session, right, Lydia? So I would just like all of us here to acknowledge how well Lydia communicates and how exciting this whole session has been. And I'd like to thank the Anticipation Hub for making what's been a truly exciting session. So thank you, Lydia, and I think she deserves a round of applause.
The team. So it's very much not just me, so we have a big team. Maybe that's nice, actually. Can all of the Anticipation Hub team maybe stand up and just give a wave so that you can also recognize them and that we can all come and find us. So Majab, you're somewhere in the back. Phoebe, I don't know if you're there somewhere. Cara is here at the front. Ghana is here. Am I missing anybody? Raymond and Catherine, of course. So yeah, please do just find us, and we're all here to support you. And yeah, next and last slide, I'm pretty sure we can go to. Yes, so please stay in touch. The Anticipation Hub, it's your hub, it's our hub. It's for everybody. We want you to use it. We want to understand how we can make it better. So please interact, engage with us. We have some goodies down at the end of when you're leaving. You can find some postcards with cartoons on them from some of our other sessions. You can find the link to the dance that was played earlier on YouTube. If you just search for Anticipation Hub on YouTube, you'll find us. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll catch up on all of the amazing creativity and different activities that were happening throughout this week. And yes, just thank you again, and we're here for you. So we're really looking forward to engaging and interacting. And thank you so much for getting into the creativity and actually doing it. I know it took a while for you to move over to those tables, but I think you all enjoyed it once you got into it. So really, a round of applause to all of you, and thank you so much for engaging. And lastly, if you'd like to have a photo, maybe we could go to some of the creative tables at the back and have a photo at the end. So yeah, with that, I'd like to close the session and give the round of applause to you, the participants. Thanks a lot. And our panelists, of course. The audio. Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's have the anticipation dance again. Thank you.
Are we fit for the future? Climate's getting stranger every day. But we're so busy, it's kind of hard to notice, right? So we're here to do a little dance today, and we hope you'll dance with us. So it's going to go like this, and then it's going to go up. I'll start.
Sweat till the work is complete. All of a rush of a feet. Too much to do, too much to know. On high alert to a thing so distracting. We can't be prepared cause we're always reacting.